Sarah, you are up first today. You can let me know whenever you're ready.
Okay, thanks, Carolyn. I'm ready.
Okay.
Hey, everyone. My name is Sarah Spiegler, and I'm the Coastal Resilience Specialist for North Carolina Sea Grant, and I was formerly the coordinator of the North Carolina Sentinel Site Cooperative, which is also a North Carolina Sea Grant program. And I apologize if you were on the session yesterday for the Mid-Atlantic. You're going to get to hear my spiel twice, but you'll probably learn more the second time around. Next slide, please. This is a list of some of our resilience efforts here at North Carolina Sea Grant, and today I'm just going to go through and highlight a few of the resilience efforts from some of our North Carolina Sea Grant team members. Next slide, please. So I'm going to start off with this project. Earlier this year, the North Carolina Division of Coastal Management received over $1 million in grant funding to support a resilience building effort in coastal communities here in North Carolina. It was awarded by the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and it's going to support the North Carolina project, overcoming local barriers to implementation and getting to shovel readiness. So as part of this project, the Division of Coastal Management is creating what we're calling the North Carolina Resilient Coastal Communities Program. And it's going to provide technical and financial assistance to local governments to support adaptation planning and also boost local government capacity. As part of this program, we're going to choose 20 communities, and they are actually currently applying for this program, with the deadline being next January 2021. And then the second part of this project is going to help strengthen ecosystem resilience at the Rachel Carson Reserve in Beaufort, North Carolina. And North Carolina Sea Grant and the Nature Conservancy are both partners in this project. Next slide, please. Next, I'm going to talk about this project by North Carolina Sea Grant's Barbara Dahl. It's an effort to characterize flooding problems in the coastal plain and to identify mitigation strategies. And it was conducted in collaboration with a lot of partners that included the North Carolina Department of Transportation and the North Carolina Emergency Management. So here in North Carolina, we've had 3 major hurricanes since 1999, Floyd, Matthew, and Florence, that have caused billions of dollars in damage in eastern North Carolina, mostly due to major flooding in coastal plain river basins. And flooding impacts includes transportation infrastructure and networks, which pose major problems for public services and emergency response. So as part of this project, modeling river crossings that were suspected of exacerbating flooding were investigated, and a few findings from the project included that upgrading all roads inundated during extreme events is not feasible, and a system of designated routes designed to resist damage and stay open during extreme flooding can provide more reliable access to critical areas, and these were termed resilient routes. And it was also found that modifying bridges in the lower Neuse River floodplain had limited effect on reducing upstream flooding from extreme events, and also that landscape features such as forests and wetlands can be strategically used to provide water storage and potentially mitigate flooding. Next slide, please. This effort highlights the North Carolina Sea Grant Coastal Landscapes Initiative, and the initiative began in 2017 to foster sustainable and resilient developed landscapes in coastal North Carolina. Property owners and experts in landscape architecture, native plants, horticulture, ecology, and economics are still collaborating on this effort. So North Carolina coastal native plants are important for healthy coastal ecosystems, especially during times of change. And our North Carolina Sea Grant's Gloria Putnam and the rest of the Coastal Landscapes Initiative team are creating resources to help property owners choose and use native plants wisely, with native plant booklets, designs, and identification of existing publicly accessible sites with sustainable landscaping features. Next slide, please. And last but not least, I want to talk about our North Carolina Sea Grant Coastal Construction and Erosion Specialist, Spencer Rogers. He's involved with many resilience efforts here in North Carolina. So there's a few examples listed on this slide. So Spencer has helped initiate legislature providing coastal wind insurance incentives and organizing the first of a growing number of Cape Fear Habitat for Humanity houses with a fortified roof or higher standards, which now qualify for insurance incentives. Spencer has also helped develop an innovative method to define shoreline hazard risk, and oceanfront shorelines that are on or near tidal inlets are the most rapidly changing features in a coastal community, and the risk is often underestimated in these places. So this new method will be useful for siting new buildings in safer locations. Also, he has conducted a comprehensive analysis of coastal building performance for Hurricane Ike. And lastly, he provides numerous assistance for home, business, and shoreline owners on storm-resistant construction techniques for new construction, mitigation best management practices for existing structures, and shoreline management alternatives. Slide, please. Thanks, everyone. On the left, I want to share a photo of myself with Coastal Resilience Specialist Katie Hinson in Hawaii from Hawaii Sea Grant, and we are obviously discussing some important resilience lessons learned here. So for more information on any of the projects I talked about today, please feel free to reach out to me or to any of our other North Carolina Sea Grant specialists. I put their emails up at the top, and thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Tracie, you're up next. Did you want to let me know when you're ready to go, please?
I'm ready.
Okie doke.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to share with you today. I'm fortunate to work with an amazing team of individuals, and they're all listed here on the first slide. I'm sure some of you have worked with many of them. And although we work in different offices across Mississippi and Alabama, and we all have different specialties, our goal is the same, and that's to increase the science-based decisions by coastal residents who can then contribute to increased resilience, build resilient communities, and protect the resilience of our coastal ecosystems. Next slide, please. Our team has developed a variety of products and tools to help local residents use across several mediums. So here you see some training manuals, the Homeowners Handbooks that we developed based off of Hawaii Sea Grant's original Homeowners Handbook. You see phone apps here. So we have paper-based tools like the handbook, training programs that focus on pure listening for mental wellness, and we have apps that can be utilized on any phone that allows residents to get involved with the collection of data about flooding as well as abandoned vessels. In addition, our team is well versed in the Fortified program that I heard Sarah mention earlier, and we deliver information on how you can mitigate structures before future storms hit. And just as a side note, many of those fortified homes fared very well after this past hurricane season. We have a variety of online tools from basic to more advanced knowledge on the topic of sea level rise, including locally relevant projections and an inventory called Gulf Tree that allows users to search for the most appropriate climate and resilience tools for their decision-making needs. We also promote sustainable tourism in our region through programs like Paddle the Gulf that encourage people to get out in the water in organized events. Next slide, please. At a community scale, we have funded small grant programs to increase resilience by updating stormwater infrastructure, creating business continuity plans, protecting places of cultural significance, and helping recreation and tourism, things like installing green infrastructure, and also helping communities join the community rating system. We continue to use a series of self-assessments that you see here to determine vulnerabilities within communities, ports, tourism sector, and fisheries. And we work towards actions that can increase resilience not only to storms and oil spills, but also economic downturns, fires, tornadoes, and of course unexpected stressors like the pandemic. Next slide, please. At an ecosystem scale, we're helping to project sea level rise for federally managed land. We're exploring the use of traditional ecological knowledge and making restoration decisions, and we're equipping managers with state-specific living shoreline resource catalogs. In addition, we're training a cadre of master naturalists that then volunteer to serve in their communities. We're providing science-based knowledge to promote stewardship of the environment. Members of our team also head up the Mississippi Coastal Cleanup, and they've recently rolled out an inland cleanup program as well as a program that focuses on microplastics. Our legal program has taken the lead on communicating about managing fisheries in the Gulf of Mexico as it relates to the Magnuson-Stevens Act and the development of fishery management plans. And we also focus on sustainable nature tourism. So members of our team work on marine debris reduction, they promote land and water trails, and establish clean marinas. There's a new Watershed game that's been released with both an adult and a student version to teach important concepts about the critical role water plays up and down the watershed. And that's been done in collaboration with Minnesota Sea Grant. The game encourages participants to develop what we call water goals for protection and restoration, while also providing for community growth. Next slide, please. So one of the things we were told we could comment on are some future and planned efforts. So I thought I would just go over a few quick ones here. We do have a neighborhood hurricane training and certification program that's in development, especially after this very active storm season. We found that there's still many people that don't know how to operate a chainsaw, are not sure how to safely set up a generator to boil water, those kinds of things. So we're working on a program that then can be set out at the neighborhood level so that that neighbors can help neighbors. We also have a neighborhood level self-assessment for resilience that we're working on in some underserved and underrepresented communities. We've got a sea level rise in the classroom curriculum that's coming out and has been beta tested even during the pandemic, which was great. A plan for it game that supports coastal planning decisions, and then some cost benefit analysis work that's being done on sea level rise adaptation options. So a couple of things that we have coming down the pike for our team. So thank you.
Great, thanks, Tracie. And Lillian, one second.
Yes, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon, I'm Lillian Ramirez from Puerto Rico. Actually, I am the Coastal Community Development and Climate Extension Specialist. I'm going to be presenting some of the ongoing projects and projects that we're working currently in the areas of research, outreach, and education efforts here in Puerto Rico, and also the U.S. Virgin Island. I don't know, part of our budget goes to the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, to do different efforts related to the conservation and other projects related to SIGRAN in those islands. Next, please. Oh, okay. One of our research projects that is ongoing because we need to extend the after the earthquakes and the pandemic, but we are currently working with a group of students in the Western Puerto Rico and a professor from the Social Sciences Department of the UPR in Mayagüez. They're working on collecting information about data on biophysical vulnerability and resilience characteristics from coastal communities in Western Puerto Rico. They're getting information, the strategies that these people from these communities are implementing related to mitigation for floodings in their areas, and how they are currently working by their own to prevent floodings in their areas. This group of research also make an inventory of the coastal businesses in those areas and the business who are continuing in their operating after the Hurricane Maria. They are reviewing the data because after the earthquakes in January, most of these, for example, from Cabo Rojo to Guanica Southeast, they were affected, and many of these business have to close. Next, please. Part of our efforts with the fisheries, local fisheries, especially in the south of Puerto Rico, because Guanica was one of the coastal municipalities that was most affected by the earthquake. Most of the people, almost 40,000 persons, have lost everything and have to be moved to shelters. There were more than approximately 3.1 billion on losses in the area. Guanica is a coastal municipality that right now they do not have any school. All the schools were destroyed by the earthquake. SIGRAN make the efforts to channel donations and to help local fishermen, artisanal fishermen in the community, so they can stay at their homes. They already return back to their fisheries activities, and they already got to generate their own income with formal tradition activities, because they after all these efforts with all our collaborators and SIGRAN efforts. This is significant. Now they are receiving more. We already channeled more. I don't know how I can say ayudas and additional. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, yes. But we are working with all these fishermen in the southwestern Puerto Rico after the earthquakes to improve their knowledge and to their incomes and capacity to get back to fisher. Next, please. Now this is my part. I am in charge of doing a lot of capacity building and training in Puerto Rico since Hurricane Maria with the NOAA Office of Coastal Management, the OCM office. We have been conducting at the National Disaster Preparedness Training Center several courses around the entire Puerto Rico. Almost 600 participants. There were engineers, planners, municipal agents, elected officials, community leaders participate in trainings that are related to coastal hazards, to disaster debris management, coastal inundation mapping, green infrastructure, introduction to the green infrastructure for coastal resiliency. All these activities, most of these those municipalities, it had to be, say, 33 instead of 22 coastal municipalities. Most of them already include in the projects from FEMA, projects that include green infrastructure for coastal resiliencies in their areas. Next, please. Seneca is a center for education on coastal, on climate change and environmental education. We provide services and educational activities to high school students in the area of management of marine and coastal ecosystems. We have an agreement with the Cabo Rojo municipality, and we have our center in the famous lighthouse in Cabo Rojo, Puerto Rico. All the students have the hands-on experience to work with coastal observations with caricus, ocean acidification, doing some labs on water quality, different weather data, and we explain how to use all the instruments in this area. We begin the project since 2014, and we're still providing these services right now because of the pandemic. We are providing them through virtual talks, but everybody wants to get back to the lighthouse to have the experience with the ecosystem. Next, please. Tools and publication with the Coastal Center, with the Center for Coastal and Literary Studies with the UPR. We developed several publications in Spanish. These publications are related. The first one, Puerto, 1867. They have a lot of videos and publications in Spanish, but in a cultural and a local language, so everybody can understand the process of hurricanes, the formation and the signs of hurricanes, the signs of earthquakes. We have publications about memories and about lessons learned from emergency managers, and all these kind of meetings, we have all the information we get when we have networking meetings. We publicate videos and different stories in this webpage. Also, the Cara al Mar, the second one is one of have all the data from these coastal communities from the research projects I just talked at the beginning. And Costa Beach is a tool we developed with the Caricus and other. With Costa Beach, the third one was a tool we developed with Caricus and other people to have a visualization of the changes of the Puerto Rico coast since 1930. So all people, we are going to begin training all the general project stakeholders and planners on how to use this visualization tool, and they can see how their coastal landscape has been changing since 1930 with georeferenced area photography. one of the first project from USBI is one of the USBI storm program. They are doing a lot of capacity building to the families and people in the islands with the NOAA tools to understand climate science and have a preparation. They are providing. They also have, what they told me is that they have part of the funding to apply for funding to support the community to increase their resilience based on the lessons learned from the different activities. Next one, please. Next.
Yep, sorry.
The Glass Recovery Project, they got with the Ocean Conservancy and the Community Foundation of USBI. They got funding to buy pulverizers, and they're gonna, because is one of the most collected material when they do the beach cleanup. So they buy pulverizers that they're gonna pulverize the glass burner, and they're gonna, in 4 different types of brine sites, they're gonna use this to fill the sandbags and use to prevent flooding in their communities in the future, for future heavy rains or events like hurricanes. Next, please. And they also have a restoration project with the USBI Marine Service science centers, where they are propagating seedlings on red mangrove and used to restore and make and teach local communities to restore areas of the U.S. Virgin Island in St. Thomas and St. John's also. Next, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Mona.
Right. I don't need nothing needs to be displayed. Okay, should I go?
Yep, go ahead.
All right, let me turn my timer on too, so that I know how to talk in English. All right, so I don't have presentation, everyone, but I wanted to provide a brief summary on behalf of our program. I know my colleagues would be much better at doing this, but we have a couple of people working on resilience-related programs here at Georgia Sea Grant. So Jill Gamble is our coastal resilience specialist. Jessica Brown is our stormwater specialist. We also have Shauna Jones, our legal program director, who engages in law and policy research related to all 4 focus areas, but a lot of it is resilience focused. Mark Tracie, our director, is engaged in a lot of resilience efforts as well. And I reckon to say even our extension leader, who is a fisheries specialist, Brian Fleck, he is also foraying into the world of ecotourism that is inevitably kind of linked with coastal resilience. And then I make contributions whenever I can. So I'll first talk about our stormwater program. This was a program that was started back in 2016. Jessica Brown has really led this program. The goal of our stormwater program, as you can imagine, is to design and implement science-based solutions for better stormwater management that can treat polluted runoff and reduce flooding. So Jess has a number of projects related to stormwater program that are related to planning efforts that connect resiliency and decision-making tools for stormwater management. So she works one-on-one with different cities all along the coast to address these stormwater issues. There are a suite of demonstration projects that she started ever since she started her appointment here at Georgia Sea Grant that she's completed. She's led training opportunities through the implementation of several of these stormwater projects. Several of these training opportunities also include students. So Jess does a fantastic job of engaging students and providing them with experiential learning opportunities, in terms of designing and implementing some of these stormwater projects that she leads. somewhat related to stormwater management is a project that our director, Mark Tracie, is collaborating with. He's collaborating with University of Georgia's Institute for Resilient Infrastructure Systems, which is led by Dr. Brian Bledsoe. But the whole idea of that project is it's a large national effort to promote natural infrastructure and adopt gray and green infrastructure. It's a project that I believe we're working very closely with the Army Corps of Engineers to implement that project. It's a $2.5 million grant that UGA got through Brian Bledsoe's group. So Mark is working on that project. We also have our law and policy team, Shauna Jones, like I mentioned, our legal program director, and her colleague, Scott Pippin, who work on a number of resilience-related topics in the law and policy realm. First of all, they were supported by a small grants competition led by the National Sea Grant Law Center. And Shauna is leading a project which is entitled Collaborating Towards Coastal Resilience in the Southeast. It's a project that engages Southeast Regional Partnership for Planning and Sustainability, that is SERPAS, to build Georgia Sea Grants law and legal and outreach capacity where coastal resilience and military readiness priorities align. So we're working very, very closely with DoD to identify some of those resilience-related needs and opportunities as far as military installments are concerned, and then to think about ways in which we can build resilience around these. And we're, like I said, partnering very closely with DoD to implement that. Shauna is also leading a regional resilience project along with colleagues from other Sea Grant states and in the Southeast. This project is called Cost Benefits Connectivity, Assessing Options for Flood Resilient Infrastructure Transportation Upgrades in the 4th Southeastern Coastal Communities. The idea here is to quantify the impacts of flooding on access to infrastructure and involve geospatial and remote sensing modeling. Oh, stop.
It's okay. You can talk for a little bit longer if you want, Mona. Here, I'll give you the ding.
Okay, so that's her project. Jill, my colleague, is engaged on a number of projects that are related to communicating resilience and climate information. So she's engaged with colleagues nationwide and regionally to design virtual stormwater simulations and also geovisualizations related to stormwater. She's also engaged with a number of local sea level rise planning efforts with Tybee Island. We got a grant from the National Sea Grant Office a couple of years ago to help Tybee Island with their sea level rise adaptation plan. So Jill continues to partner with them. Another thing just two more things that I'd mentioned, Jill's also engaged in network building around a project called Georgia Climate Project. This is once again a statewide project that engages representatives from 9 Georgia universities to help Georgia reduce the risk and maximize opportunities related to climate change. And it's there's a lot of network building and efforts going on within this effort. And lastly is the NSF Climate Migration Project that several of us are collaborating on, not only sea grant programs in the Southeast, but nationally. And that was funded under the NSF Coastlines and Peoples Initiative earlier this year. And the goal is there to bring practitioners, resource managers, scientists, and coastal stakeholders to study climate-induced human mobility and examine the socioeconomic, cultural, and policy frameworks related to that. So with that, I'll pause. I do have created a sheet of paper, well, 2 or 3 pages long that just summarizes all these different projects. And I'll make